One of my biggest frustrations when growing up and reading magazines is that they were all catered for either little girls or women, and there was nothing for teenagers. That was until I found Japanese magazines, and they were so catered for teenagers. Even though I couldn't understand a word of it, there was fashion inspiration I could take sight of. They had little workout tips. It showed all the products that they liked. In fact, I'm going to do a whole video about Pop Teen and the Japanese fashion magazines, which made me fall in love with magazine in the first place. But that's not this video. This video is all about the woman magazine to end all women magazines, Woman magazine, circa December 30th, 1944. When I was researching for this video, I actually, because this magazine is called Woman, and I was like, okay, great, like that's so generic, like woman is a word in the dictionary. There's gonna be so many website hits for that. If I search Women magazine old into Google, I'm not gonna find anything. It turns out that this Woman magazine is the very same Woman magazine, I'm going to put a picture up, of the current day. Woman is an English weekly magazine launched in 1937. Its target audience is for 30 to 40-year-old women. It encompasses a mix of celebrity gossip and TV news, real-life stories, and fashion and beauty tips. Its lifestyle section offers ideas on homes, interiors, and food, product reviews, and advice. Oldham's Press founded the first colour weekly, Woman, in 1937, for which it set up and operated a dedicated high-speed print works. During World War II, the magazine provided a range of fashion tips to cope with clothes rationing, as well as recipes to deal with the shortages and alternatives. As of 2013, the circulation of Women magazine today is 252,000 copies. Isn't that absolutely fascinating? I'm so used to all these old magazines I buy being out of print, but actually this magazine is still in print and it's adapted and thrived and changed to suit a modern day audience, even in this current death of print era. I just think that's so cool. I really wanted to get my hands on a women's weekly style magazine because we all know how gender attitudes have changed a lot over the past 70 years, and it's kind of interesting to see how that's reflected in old style media. As we saw in Picture Go, it was also really interesting to see a magazine being printed in the wartime, and this was published on December 30th, 1944, so that was singing in the new year in a day or something. Like it was the end of 1944, and so that's the end of another year in which they really hoped that the war was going to end, but it's still happening, and so it's looking forward with as much, high hopes as you can in hard times. Little did they know they were only 1 year away. Shall we just dive right into it? So first off, I guess we will look at the front cover as we usually do. Week ending December 30th, 1944, a cost of 3p. Wonder how much that cost. Woman, every single Thursday. And it's this beautiful painted, illustrated cover. Isn't it so pretty? And look, you can see you get your 1945 calendar. It's on page 8. I didn't mention where I got this from actually. I got it from my favourite vintage fair in the entire world. It's every single year. It's the King's Cross Classic Car Boot. It takes place in Granary Square and like around Coal Drops Yard in King's Cross. I've been twice over 3 years. It's incredible. The clothing is really good, like the sellers are really good. They have so much good stuff. They don't have an abundance of magazines, but they have a few, so do kind of keep your eyes out for it. They have loads of vintage cars and classic cars there, which is what I find really interesting as well. So it's a really nice area and it's just really good fun. Like they got good music, really good vibe. I would really recommend it if you're in London. Keep your eyes out for the Classic Car Boot. I think they only do it once a year, but it's very much worth going to. I don't know how much this cost me. I would imagine probably about £5. Oh, I can't get in. I'm locked out. Hello? Okay, here we are. We've got all sorts of adverts and already hit with the new post-war formula. What does that mean, post-war? Because the war didn't end then, did it? I thought it ended in 1945. And this is about Miners Mineral Foundation. We saw that in Picture Go as well, so obviously they're trying to get their target audience.
The preparation of cosmetics is a chemical art that would intrigue any scientist. In the mixing of face powder, for example, many factors have to be taken into consideration before the right formula is ascertained.
But it's so interesting, but look here, prices. Due to its expensive new ingredients, the new formula, liquid makeup, will sell at a slightly higher price. We never get brands being that honest nowadays. They're like, oh, they just increase the price and don't tell you. But here they're like stressed that someone's gonna clock that they've raised the prices. His teeth need your care, an advert for dental magnesia for your child. Mother, you can do something for your child for which he will thank you throughout his life.
For the children, having the dentist arriving on their doorstep, so to speak, is a mixed blessing. They miss less school, but as a consolation, there are all the little trimmings which have been provided for their special benefit.
Cherub for children, a lot of like motherhood kind of adverts, I suppose. Party planning and some recipes for fruity buns, fork and finger savouries, celery baskets. This is really interesting, seeing the readers' letters, and you can see in the woman-to-woman section. This one at the end is particularly caught my eye, and it's called End of a Chain. Today I received a good luck chain letter which supposedly had been around the world 6 times. If the chain were broken, bad luck would befall me. On the other hand, if I copied out the letter 4 times and sent it on within 3 days, I could expect some wonderful good fortune. This all seems absurd anyway, but when we are supposed to save paper, help the post office by not sending unnecessary communications and save money wherever we can, it begins to seem wicked too. Why do people do these things? From Miss MC, Glasgow, Northwest. So true, and isn't it crazy that people were getting like spam mail and those chain letters since literally like the 1940s? I remember getting one of those when I was like a kid. It was like my friend at school would like pass it on and stuff, and it's like quite, you know, it's cool to get post as a child because you don't really get post when you're a kid. Especially back then, not everyone had printers and you would have to handwrite it. I love that they're saying like, isn't this contradictory? Aren't we going to be saving money and like not posting all this stupid shit? The editor says, we can't tell you why people do them, but we know that we have ourselves thrown away one chain letter with the last batch of woman-to-woman letters we read, and that must be about the 10th we've chucked into the wastepaper basket since we've been on the job. And here we are still, dewy-eyed as ever, and a little older perhaps, but still avoiding VSI, II, and any other number Hitler gets up to, not to mention Thunderbolts. We advise any person thinking of copying a chain letter 4 times to put the note paper into salvage before writing the letter on it. It will save trouble eventually, not to mention ink and the postman's feet. Interesting. I don't know what VSI, VS1, 2... I don't know what that is. I think one of you guys will know that if you are know more about history than me. But I just actually learned that the VII will have been like the V1 flying bomb and the V2 rocket. And the V1 flying bomb was vengeance weapons deployed for the terror bombing of London. So it's like for the Blitz, essentially. First one targeted London on 13th of June 1944, so very like topical of that year. This one was set off on 20th of June 1944. So we now know what that is. And look at that even here, Jacob's cream crackers. We love Jacob's cream crackers. Apparently they're available only within a limited area until after the war. Oh my god, so even it would affect supply chains. In 2.5 minutes, recipe for a lovely little omelette. And actually on this page it's mainly just adverts, but this one here caught my eye because look, it's using a photograph, whereas all of the rest of them are using like illustrations. And isn't it so interesting that when you see the whole page together, this looks really out of place, like the one with the photograph looks really out of place, but the rest of them all match each other so well because it's all kind of like hand-drawn ink outlines, everything. It's an advert for Robinson's patent groats. What is groats? Groats and milk. I think it's about some kind of baby's milk or groat. I don't know what groats is. Back on my facts, apparently groats are the whole kernels of various cereal grains such as oat, wheat, rye and barley. We love learning on this channel. Now here's something which is obviously why a lot of the women are buying these magazines, is because they have either one-shot stories or a serial issue, one new chapter every week, just like you would get issued your weekly manga in the Shonen Weekly. But it's serial stories, which gives everyone a little bit of literature without having to buy a whole book, I guess, and also just something quite nice. You can see all this hand-painted artwork by Rix, and the story in every port was written by Helen Bishop. He was fascinating, irresistible, delightful, but his pockets were always bulging with letters from other girls. On the last bar of music, she managed it so that they stopped only a foot away from her prey. He was alone. He grinned. What is this? I think that this is a story about a girl falling in love with like a sailor, and I don't know, he's got a lot of interest from others, maybe. In fact, there's a tiny poem. It's called Patchwork. I save up little pieces of my life to make a crazy quilt for you to see. Some golden joy, some tear-stained crimson strife, some rainbow laughter made by you and me. Please like my quilt and use it. Every fold is lined with love to keep away the cold. By Eleanor Graham. Now this is interesting. Look, they've given you a beautiful 1945 calendar. Woman wishes you the sweet joys of peace in 1945. And look, it's got all of the dates. Here's another story, One Red Rose. No message from Bob could bring Jenny back if the scent of a rose had lost its meaning for her. He could see even now her face in the dusk filled with that new consciousness. Oh. Well, I've just come across something here. Ripples in wool. Now, here's a gay threesome to take the nip out of winter winds and give you outdoor fun with no shivers. Don't know if they thought that one through. Didn't age well, that one, did it? It's knitting patterns for a cap, a vest and some mittens. This quickly made set is knitted in a simple pattern. I'm sorry. I've been knitting before bed for weeks. Do you know what I've got? A really long bit of wool, and it's not even long enough to like turn into a vest, a cap or mittens. So I don't know what kind of quickly made set we're talking about here, but I wouldn't trust them if I was you. Here's a really interesting advert. Banking on your handbag. Your bag can be lost, stolen, dropped in the blackout. Why take this risk when there are so many others you must take? Responsible women put their ready money in a bank. They pay by check because it is easier, quicker and safer. Pound notes, once broken, melt away like snow in summer, so money in the bank means more war savings at the end of each week. You can start a bank account with a very modest sum of money. Ask your local manager about it. Isn't that interesting? Not everyone had banks then. It's so part of life now. Like, everyone's got bank accounts apart from like old people. There's loads of recipe ideas for square meals. Dishes to warm you, satisfy you and help you face the cold weather are this week's specialty. You got stuffed leeks, celery shepherd's pie, sprats and parsnips. Remove the head and tails of the sprats. I don't know what sprats is. Is that lost to time? According to Google, sprat is the common name applied to a group of forage fish belonging to the genus Spratus in the family Clupidae. So it's a fish, basically. Here's a picture. Honestly, this episode is full of so much learning. I'm really surprised. Savoury puffs, cod with carrot sauce, vegetable cheese pie, and an excellent soup costing almost nothing. All the adverts are so beautiful, aren't they? Wow, you can make a harlequin cloth, or Edith Blair designs a gay cloth from dinner napkins dyed in vivid hues. Love that. Love that for us in Pride Month. Oh my god, this is so sad. So this is Ask Evelyn Home. She'll help you privately if you write to her at Woman 6 Catherine Street, WC2, enclosing a stamped self-addressed envelope for her reply. And she like puts her replies in here, so it's like an agony aunt page. But this one's so sad. Wait till you're sure. I'm nearly 18 and my parents were both killed in the Blitz. Since when I have lived with my aunt. I used to be a quiet little schoolgirl, but now I am quite popular and have fallen in love with an American who is nearly twice my age. Unfortunately, he is married, but he told me that he no longer loves his wife, he has 2 children. And that I am all he cares for. Before he was sent to the continent, he told me he would divorce his wife and marry me. I have heard from him several times repeating all this, but I still can't decide if I should tell him definitely whether I will marry him or not. Should I wait for him or should I try to forget him? Evelyn says, you won't be able to forget him quite so easily as that, I'm afraid, but I would certainly advise you try to put him in the back of your mind until you hear definitely that he has taken divorce proceedings. These are strange times, and I've no doubt that the pair of you were honestly in love. But when he gets back to his wife and home and family, he might find it difficult to even remember what you look like. I should write to him and say that you would rather not be definitely engaged until he is free. There is no reason why you should not correspond in a friendly way. I think you will find that your feelings towards this man will change as times go on. You will probably be very glad you did not bind yourself to an engagement which in the end neither of you may wish to fulfill. That girl's got an absolutely wild life going on. She's 17, she's going out with a 34-year-old dude who's married and says that he's going to divorce his wife for her, and he's now gone to the continent. I don't know what that means. Where's the continent? They're all continents, right? Look, a little vaccination advert. Diphtheria is deadly. Kills and maims in peace and war. Is dangerous to children under 5. There's always a risk wherever you live. Immunisation, the provided safeguard. We know. How amazing! That's so interesting! I really liked reading that one. I thought it was really, really fascinating. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I have got another old magazine from the war video on my channel, and I also have a modern magazine all about AI and super artificial intelligence. Go and check them both out. I really hope you enjoy them. If you liked this, I'll be sharing a free download for you of every single page of this magazine if you sign up to my newsletter, which the link is down below. The newsletter is a really good way to stay in touch with me and know when I'm posting new videos, because I don't really trust the YouTube subscription box. Regardless, sign up to the newsletter and subscribe and ring the bell, because you kind of have to on YouTube now. Sorry for asking, but it's just part of the deal. Do follow me on other social media if you're interested, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye for now.